Okay, so good morning again. Now let us look at how to solve tutorial question for week 2, hour 3. Okay, so again, I would like to remind all of you to attempt the question solve first and use this as a reference upon completion. Okay, so make sure you attempt the questions by yourself first by referring to the videos or to the lecture notes that I've sent to you earlier. Okay. Alright, so first they ask you to define what is hydrocarbon. Okay, so the definition for hydrocarbon can be found in the lecture note, yeah? Okay, so hydrocarbon basically are organic compounds that consist of only carbon and hydrogen. Okay, carbon and hydrogen only, yeah? So do write the complete definition for hydrocarbon. Okay, so next they ask you to state whether the following statements are true or false. Okay, so first statement is carbon atoms only form single bonds in unsaturated compounds. Okay, alright, so we know that unsaturated compounds can have multiple bonds, so you decide whether the statement is true or false. Yeah, okay, alright. And next, in CH2 compound, both carbons form a carbon-carbon double bond. Okay, alright. So for those who can see, okay, so what you can do is you can try to work out general formula of the compound. For example, okay, you have 2 carbons and 4 hydrogens. So the general formula for the compound should be CnH2n. Okay, so from there you can determine what class of compound is it and whether it contains double bond or not. Okay, and another way of looking at it, you can try to draw maybe the expanded structure of the formula given. Okay, and then you can see how to make sure that the carbon is octet. Okay, next, okay, the maximum number of bonds allowed for any carbon atom is 4. Okay, so we should know that carbon has how many valence electron. Okay, so how many covalent bonds can it form, okay, for it to be octet. Okay, so that should be the key for you to determine statement number 3. Okay, for number 4, saturated hydrocarbon molecules are made entirely of carbon-carbon double bonds. Okay, so you should know saturated hydrocarbon, they do not have any multiple bonds. Okay, they do not have any multiple bonds. So you tell me whether the statement is true or false. And finally, the statement, the common feature found in all unsaturated hydrocarbon must have a ring. Okay, so is this true? Okay, so that's for you to decide based on what you have understand about hydrocarbon. Okay, as for this third question, they've given you 2 hydrocarbons, A and B, in their skeletal form. So, A, they ask you to draw condensed structure of A and B. Okay, so I want you to work it out by yourself. Let me just give you an example and highlight what are the things that you should include and not include in a condensed structure. Okay, let's say let me just come up with a almost similar structure. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, so first of all, what you need to know is that as for condensed structure, okay, for condensed structure, you don't have to show the bonds between carbon and carbon. You don't have to show single bonds between carbon and carbon and hydrogen. Okay, when there is bonds with functional group or multiple bonds involved, you should show the bonds. Right? Okay, let's have a look here. So always remember, in skeletal structure, each terminals tu represents CH3. Okay, kalau double bond tu terminal tu CH2 lah, because one already used to form the double bond. Okay, and the second thing that you can see is the 3 CH3s are bonded to the same carbon. so we can write them together, CH3 3C. Okay, alright. So there's no hydrogen in this carbon because it forms the remaining one bond too is with the neighboring carbon. Okay, alright. So now we at this carbon here. So as you can see, it has a CH3 branch and you should know there is another hydrogen here lah. Even without me drawing here, you should know in skeletal structure there's another hydrogen there. So CH3. Okay, so you can either write the bracket the CH3 in a bracket form, or you can even show the bond okay, just can drag down from the carbon here, okay, and then writes down CH3 lah. Okay, next let's move to this carbon. Okay, so this carbon, as you can see, it has formed one bond with the carbon on the left and double bond with the carbon on the right. So you should know there's another hydrogen left here lah. Okay, so CH double bond terminal CH2. Okay, so this is an example okay, again look back at the notes, okay, on what are the rules involved when drawing a condensed structure. Okay, so like I've mentioned earlier, certain things you can use bracket to group them together, you can use bracket for repeating units, and then for functional group you can either use bracket or you can use bond. Okay, so again do go and check out back on your notes for week 1 which is related to structural formula. Okay, alright, so they ask you to identify class of compound in A and B lah. So either class of compound they ask you to identify class of compound. Okay, so maybe alcohol, alkene, alkane, carboxylic acid. Okay, alright, so that is what is meant by class of compound. Again, I want you to be able to differentiate between class of compound and functional group. Okay, and then you should be able to circle them correctly. Okay, again go and refer back to your notes and then finally they ask you to classify whether it is saturated or unsaturated hydrocarbon. Okay, for you to answer this, you must be able to determine whether in the hydrocarbon consists of only all single bonds or if there is any multiple bonds present. Okay.